You may have heard about Apple's recent controversy involving a secret rollout of an AI photo scanning feature, which was also turned on by default for all users. As if people didn't already need another reason to distrust Apple and their products. And unsurprisingly, Apple fanboy Techlore came out of the woodwork to offer his 2 cents.
Yeah, I didn't like this at all. Again, it's hard because on a technical level, it seems like they integrated it pretty well. So if they had to roll out this feature, we kind of got a best case scenario, but Apple might not always be best case scenario, and they might not implement things in the best way going forward. So
Henry says he doesn't like it, but then proceeds to praise Apple for smoothly rolling out a feature without the user's knowledge, or even their consent to activate it. You'd think for someone who's built a business around privacy that Henry would be a bit more concerned.
I think that it's tough to criticize this one because technically it might be sound.
No, it's not.
Apple pushed a feature without telling anyone. How is any of that defendable? Especially from a so-called privacy advocate. You even defended Apple's action on Twitter. Apple made a decision that contradicts their BS privacy marketing. And yet you're struggling to put a positive spin on this.
But I think, again, like what you were referring to, taking away the user choice, not doing it transparently, having to wait for people to notice, and then they post an article, and then you hope that people go in and change the settings is kind of a ridiculous way to alert people of a new feature that, could potentially impact their privacy.
And now you're stealing Nate's opinion just to protect your image as a privacy channel. Must be exhausting to constantly flip-flop your views on privacy.
I'm on one side, see? I'm on the other side. I'm on the East Bank. I'm on the West Bank. It is not that critical.
I think this is just not fun. I had to turn this off. This reminds me of sometimes just random toggles re-enable themselves after Apple updates on both macOS and iOS. And I think that entire behavior is just really weird, but it aligns with how Apple does things, which is they want more control of your device than you do.
And yet that behavior doesn't really seem to bother you. It certainly doesn't stop you from recommending Apple products, despite their creepy practices to control your devices.
But my short answer is it's not a terrible place to be right now, especially if you're looking at the average person and how they interact with their devices. If you take what they're doing and you put them on an iPhone and a MacBook with iCloud's ADP, it's going to, in almost all accounts, be an improvement. I'm still going to always recommend an Apple iDevice over any Android device to most people in my life. It's just generally going to be better for privacy and security for them, from what I've done and what I've researched. What Apple has done is they've created a tool that can straight up fight government spyware and help protect journalists and actually maybe even save lives in the process. And iCloud's end-to-end encryption is the cleanest end-to-end encryption I've ever seen integrated on an operating system level ever. Nothing comes close to it.
Apple did something objectively terrible. And yet you still try to spin this into good news. If that isn't an indicator of your true priorities, I don't know what is.